back at the line. Well, here comes Alan Johnson and Greg Anderson. And we send you over to Whit Bazemore.
Spencer Massey, you're driving the most consistent and one of the quickest and fastest top fuel dragsters this season. Next round, you have your teammate Antron Brown. They just had low ET of the second round. What are you thinking? How are you gonna cope with that?
Well, you know, when you're on Antron or Tony or any of our teammates, it's always a plus, because that means no matter what, one guy gets to get past that round. But we want the orange car to get past. We want to get to the final round. We're hungry for another win. We struggled in Chicago first round. We're trying to make up for it now. It's been hot and greasy. They got lane choice. It's a little tricky out there. If you notice, the cars have been swapping lanes right before they run, like we did. So if I just leave it up to Todd and Phil, like they always turn the knobs just right, hopefully the thing go right down through there, and we'll make it into the money round and have fun.
And Spencer, I've got some good news for you. With that last win, you clinched a spot in the countdown.
Nice. That's always a good sign. The countdown is where we need to be, because we want that full throttle championship come to Pomona at the World Finals. That would be sweet.
Very cool. It's always good to tell someone some really good news.
Well, here is Greg Anderson. You're on board with him. He's lost the second round here the last 2 years. That definitely comes up on his mind. I still love Mike. He's got that piece of black tape over his dash. Have you ever gone in there, tried to figure that one out?
I'm thinking it's probably engine RPM, but that's why he's got it covered, so we can't tell.
Get your hand slapped if you go for that, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah.
And Alan Johnson.
Alan 008 off the line. He wasn't taking anything for granted with Greg Anderson. And look at that Mopar fly.
Wow, this has been his track and his race. There is low ET of the race. Track record ET, 695 with a 5. Alan Johnson is just roaring in the Mopar.
That's amazing. As you go on board with Alan, look at this. This was pretty much picture perfect. Reaction time, hitting the shift points, in the elapsed time, but most importantly, you got the ones. You go on board with Greg Anderson, had to do a little bit of driving. You take a look at the dashboard, you see where he's got that tape covering up. Like I said, I think that's the engine RPM with the onboard camera. I think he just doesn't want the competition to know what kind of RPM he's running.
And look at this, straight out the front, and there is his wife, Kim. Greg Anderson. Dejection at losing that round. Alan Johnson, by the way, has been chasing eighth in the points right now, chasing Enders and Brogdon. So with them out, this is looking pretty good for them. Here are the semifinal matchups now in Pro Stock. You saw Larry Morgan, Mike Edwards go down the track, and it's Alan Johnson and Kurt Johnson.